Hey, look out. It's Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
Hey, this guy is a legend, according to his wife. And also the folks there at Voice of the Martyrs. It's Todd Nettleton. He's one of our favorite guests. Todd, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you very much. It's good to be with you.
Todd is broadcasting live all the way from Bartlesville, Oklahoma, and I happen to know where that is. If you don't, well, look it up on a map. It's a cool little place right there by Tulsa.
It is a cool place, great place to raise a family, and yep, like you say, just north of Tulsa.
Yep.
Love that. Behind Todd is Todd's book. We're just calling it Todd's book today. And if you'd like a copy of Todd's book, don't go to Amazon because you won't be able to find it under Todd's book, but you will be able to find it when faith is forbidden. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's catch up with you, Todd. I noticed in June, you just got back from the Middle East. Give us an update. What's going on?
Yeah, we had a chance to visit the Middle East and visit with Christians there who are impacted by persecution. Oftentimes, in many cases, it starts not with the government. It starts with your own family.
Yeah.
Your dad, your big brother says, hey, we're a Muslim family. You really don't have a spot in our family if you're not a Muslim anymore. And so that's typically what the front line of persecution is in that context. And we met with young people, we met with older people who have encountered that family persecution. And one of the amazing things is they love Jesus more than their own families because they understand following Jesus is going to cost me my family, but they make that decision. I'm still going to follow Jesus.
Todd, talk about, you mentioned young people, which I think is phenomenal because so many young people in America are walking away from their faith today. Talk about the importance of those young people and just the bravery they have in walking away from their family.
It is an incredibly brave thing to do, like to say, no, I understand this is going to cost me. Okay. This is going to cost me my family. It's going to, in that culture, it's not just your family. It's like all your opportunities because your connections for jobs, your connections for education, all that is through those family relationships and those extended family relationships. And so you really are walking away from opportunity, all opportunity for advancement, all opportunity for your life. You're saying, nope, I love Jesus more than I love those things. And we met a young man, and I think he'll always stick with us because he was the same age as our oldest son. And so we could easily kind of connect with where he was in life and how old he was and what he had gone through. His own family tried to kill him. At one point, they hit him on the back of the head with an iron, literally trying to kill him. They since then have kind of given up on this idea that we're going to physically kill him, but they act as if he's dead. He said if he walked in the room with his father would not blink an eye, would not acknowledge him, would not look at him, would not talk to him. It was as if he was dead, even if he was standing right there in front of him. He's like, and you just think about that, and I think about that as a father and as a son. What kind of pain does that bring out in your heart? And yet, like I say, he was more committed to following Christ. He saw that as a worthwhile sacrifice. Yes, I had to give up my family, but I still have Jesus.
Wow.
Todd from Voice of Martyrs, we're going to tell you how you can listen to the show actually on Sundays, 9 a.m. on 590 WDWD. We'll tell you about where you can get the book there. Don or Dan, whichever he is.
Whichever you want to call me. That's fine.
Yeah. VOMradio.net is a great place to go to find out more. I encountered that a little bit, not the persecution at all, because I've lived in America for the last 62 years. But a friend of mine has been a church planter in India for well over 30, 40 years. And what happened was they were planting, hundreds of churches. Their families were cutting them off. And what they decided to do, they figured out, is that they would take care of the kids by building schools. They created restaurants so the people could have employment, and they even built apartments so that the families could live somewhere, because just as you say, the families cut them off, and in some cases, many cases, beat them up physically, just short of killing them. And you can't imagine. We have no clue, right?
It's so easy for us to say the family of God. And what I picture when I say the family of God is the people I go to church with on Sunday, and then
Right.
I see them the next Sunday.
Yeah.
In the context like you're talking about, in a context like the Middle East, your Christian family literally becomes your family.
Yeah.
Like they're the people who make sure you have enough to eat. They're the people who make sure when you're sick that somebody's there to take you to the hospital. It literally becomes the family of God is my family. They're the people that are looking out for me.
I've got to believe too that, I know that they are committed to Christ. Look at their actions. But it seems to me that maybe a physical beating would be easier than an emotional relationship severing. Am I right?
I think you are. And we oftentimes at Voice of the Martyrs, when our international ministry folks talk about persecution, they talk about it two types of persecution. One is smash persecution, and the other is squeeze persecution. And smash persecution is, they come in and they beat you up, or they come in and they burn down your house and then they go away.
Yeah.
That is easier to handle than squeeze persecution, which is like, hey, we're going to lock you in your room. Hey, nobody's going to talk to you. You're going to be cut off from all your contacts, all the society. It's that constant squeezing to try to pressure you to say, okay, I give up. I won't follow Jesus anymore. Just let me back in the club. Just let me back in the family. And like you say, in a lot of ways, that smash persecution is a lot easier to deal with, because if you can endure pain for a little while, then it's over. But that squeeze persecution, the pain just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah.
Wow. Todd Nettleton, the author of When Faith is Forbidden, 40 Days on the Front Lines with Persecuted Christians. Let's talk about the book, Todd. Talk about where this came about. Give us a couple of the stories that maybe that you share in there that just really touched you.
Well, this book has been a long time in the making, kind of 20 years in the making. So many times when I would come back from a trip for Voice of the Martyrs, and I would have gone someplace and I met these amazing saints with their amazing stories of enduring persecution, someone would say to me, someone in my Bible study group or in my Sunday school class would say, man, I would really like to go on a trip with you. I wish I could go with you. And so that really is the genesis of the book. The idea of the book is, hey, okay, come with me. Let's spend 40 days together traveling and meeting persecuted Christians. Every day for 40 days, we're going to hear a story. We're going to meet a persecuted Christian and drink a cup of tea with them and hear their story. And so these are 40 of the most impactful, the most powerful stories that I've heard from persecuted Christians over my 20 plus years working here at Voice of the Martyrs. And like I say, the idea is come with me. Let's go on a trip. I believe on day 41, after hearing 40 days of these stories, your faith is going to look a little different, because I've been impacted by our persecuted brothers and sisters. I've been impacted by their stories. And I think the people who read the book will be impacted too. One of the stories that's in the book is one of my favorites. When people ask me, tell me about a persecuted Christian, one of the first people I think about is Sister Tong. And I met Sister Tong now almost 20 years ago in China, after she had just been released from 6 months in prison. And her crime in China was hosting a house church in her home. So at that time, the Chinese government was raiding house churches. They would take down everybody's ID information. They would photograph everyone, but a homeowner, the person who was hosting the meeting, they would go to jail.
Yeah.
And so Sister Tong went to jail for 6 months. She got released. And just like 3 weeks later, we were in China. My wife was with me on the trip, and we got to sit down with Sister Tong. And so I know I'm going to come back to America. I'm going to do radio interviews. I'm going to share this story. I'm probably going to write something about Sister Tong for our free magazine. And so, you're going to tell a story. What's the first thing you need? You need the setting. So I say, Sister Tong, tell me about the prison. And, honestly, what I'm thinking in my mind is, tell me how big the rats were. Tell me how terrible the food was. Tell me how hard the bed was. Tell me, let's paint a picture for everyone of how miserable your life in a Chinese prison was. And so the translator translates my question, and Sister Tong gets what I can only call a heavenly smile on her face. She says something in Chinese, and the translator says, oh, yes, that was a wonderful time. And I looked at the translator because I'm like, Okay, clearly there's been a disconnect there. Like he didn't understand my question. She didn't understand the question. Something's gone wrong here, because no one would ever describe a Chinese prison as a wonderful time. That I can't fathom how that would be. And I said,
Right.
Are you sure you understood? I was asking about the prison. Yes. I understood the question, and she understood the question. And I said, okay, well, if you're saying 6 months in prison was a wonderful time, you better explain yourself.
Yeah.
And Sister Tong went on to say, Jesus was so close to me in that prison cell in a way that I've never experienced Christ before. I experienced his presence in that prison cell.
Wow.
And she said, you know what else? There were some ladies in the cell with me. And when I got there, they did not know Jesus. But today they do know Jesus, because I got the chance to introduce them. And so the thing I point out in the book is, okay, so if Jesus is with us, and if Jesus gives us a ministry to do, how could that not be a wonderful time?
Yeah.
So what do I need to sort of borrow Sister Tong's glasses and look at in my life to see, okay, is Jesus here with me? Is Jesus giving me a ministry to do in the midst of this? Oh, okay, that's a wonderful time then. And some of the things we look at and instantly say, Lord, get me out of this situation. Rescue me from this situation. Instead, maybe we should say, Lord, are you with me? Are you giving me a ministry here? Maybe those things that we don't want or expect or wouldn't ask for could actually be a wonderful time if we had that attitude that Sister Tong had.
Wow.
Reminds me of the Apostle Paul, right? Philippian jailer. And from what I've read, they kept having to change guards on him because he kept leading them all to Christ.
You got another one.
We have heard of Chinese prisoners that they will rotate the guards faster for particular Christian prisoners, because if they leave the guard standing outside that cell for too long, they will hear the gospel, they will get saved. And so they will say, okay, normally we rotate every 6 hours, but on this guy, we're going to rotate every 2 hours or every 30 minutes, because we don't want him to have the opportunity to win those guards to Christ.
Wow.
God bless them. God bless them richly. Hey, Todd Nettleton is the host of Voice of the Martyrs. You hear it here at Faith Talk Atlanta. It's on 590 WDWD, 9 a.m. on Sunday mornings. Persecution.com is a great place to go to. Pick up Todd's book, and you get it at vomradio.net. Where else, Todd, can they get it?
They can get it at persecution.com. Actually, anyone who makes a donation to Voice of the Martyrs, you can actually request a copy for free. We will send you a copy as our way of thanking you for the donation. You can do that at persecution.com, or you can go to whenfaithisforbidden.com as well.
Todd, always a pleasure. Love hanging with you, and I really appreciate what you and the team there does. You're really making a difference, and have for, a long time. Many years. Love to get you back on again. Again, you can go to vomradio.net and persecution.com. Don't forget to give and get you a copy of Todd's book, When Faith is Forbidden. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.